Hello and welcome to this video. In case you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Sweeney, and in this video I'll be transforming this pink oversized shirt into this beautiful fitted waist shirt dress. I feel like these are just one of those things that will never really go out of style. Yeah, shirt dresses have been on trend for quite a while now and it's still popping. So just a disclaimer, there's going to be quite a bit of calculation in this video, but don't worry, relax, because I got you. I'm going to make this as clear as I possibly can, and trust me, it's going to be worth it. So without any much more talking, let's just head straight into the video. So the first step is that you're going to take some measurements, and the first measurement you're going to take is the measurement of your waist. So I just measured my waist and I noted that down. The second measurement I took was the measurement of how long I want my dart to be. So I just measured from under my bust where I'd want it to end and noted that down as well. And the last measurement you're going to take is the measurement of where our dart is going to start. So I'll just measure from where the shoulder seam starts. As you can see, there's a close-up of how I did it, and until under my bust, and I noted that measurement as well. So once you're done taking your measurements, just note them all down, and the next step is that I seam ripped the pockets. So I just went ahead and seam ripped my pockets off, and there we have it. So once you're done, the next step is to take the length of your shirt. So I just went ahead and measured the length of my shirt and I noted it down. So here's where the calculation comes in. So the size of my waist is 24 inches, and just a disclaimer, I'm not using my actual length. I decided to just have them in even numbers so that you guys can understand the calculation much better. So the length of my waist is 24 inches, and the length of the top will be what you found, which for me is 18, and I multiply that by 2 to get the length of the whole shirt, because remember there's the front bit and the back bit. So I just did 18 times 2 and that gave me 36 inches. So now we're going to calculate the length we need to take in. Remember, it's a fitted waist shirt dress, so you're just going to take the length of the shirt, which for me is 36 inches, and you subtract the length of your waist. For me it's 24 inches, and when you subtract that, I got 12 inches. So now we're supposed to substitute that length equally around the shirt so that we can have a symmetric fit. Yeah, so we're going to distribute that 3 times, and in order to get the length that you're supposed to distribute, we're going to divide the length that you need to take in by 3. One of that part is for the front half side, the other part is for the front other side, and then we have the back. So 12 divided by 3, that gives me 4 inches. So I'm supposed to distribute 4 inches equally around my shirt. I hope until there we're together. Once you have this, you're good to go. So you remember the measurement I took from where the shoulder seam started to under my bust? That's the measurement that I'm now transferring so that I can know where my dart is going to start, and I just marked that. The next step is that I'm going to measure the length of that first front bit, and once I measured it, I just marked the midpoint. Once you mark the midpoint, I'm now measuring 2 inches away from where the buttons start, but with this measurement it's not constant. You can choose to make yours 1 inch, you can choose to make it 3 inches, but as long as it's not so close to where the buttons are supposed to close. So I just measured that and I marked that as well. So now I'm going to mark 0.5 inches from the midpoint that I got on both sides. This is so that the pleat can just have a bit of spacing as you're sewing. Okay, and then after that, remember we were substituting 4 inches on each quarter of the shirt. Okay, so for the front, I'm supposed to have 4 inches here, so I'm just measuring 2 inches from where I had marked the 0.5. And then you remember the length that I measured of how long I'd want my dart to be, which for me is 3.5 inches, and that's the length that I am now marking, and I just joined the lines together. So we're just drawing this into a box so that it will be much easier for us to follow the lines when you're sewing. And also I used a pen. When you're doing yours, just use a pencil or just something sharp. I could not find one. Yeah, luckily for me, the material of my shirt was good enough, and also I was not being so harsh while drawing the lines. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the other half, 0.5 inches away from the midpoint. I'm just going to mark 2 inches and then 3.5 inches going down. So when you add the 2 inches on one square and the 2 inches on the other square, that gives us the 4 inches that you are supposed to take in on this first quarter. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So now I'm done with taking in 4 inches and 4 inches on the front. So I have already taken in 8 inches. So we need to take in 4 more inches so that it can add up to 12 inches. So just as I did at the front, I'm going to measure the length of the back. And after I do that, I'm just going to get the midpoint or the center of where the back is, or the center of the back of our shirt. So I just went ahead, measured that, and I marked that point. So after getting the center of our back bit, that means that we have 2 halves. Now exactly as we did on the front halves, that's exactly what we're going to do on this other back half. So I'm just going to get the midpoint of that first half and I just marked that. Okay, now for this back bit, I'm going to take in, now for this part, I'm going to take in 1 inch and 1 inch on both sides so that it can give us 2, and then on the other half I'm going to do the same thing, 1 inch and 1 inch. When we add it, it's going to give us 2, and then 2 plus 2, that's 4, and then the length of our dart is the same, and that's 3.5 inches. I really hope that you're together. If you get lost and you want to do this project, I'd advise that you watch the video as you do it. Now the next step is we are going to pin the lines that we've drawn together. As in, once you're done with that, we are almost done with our project. So you see the squares just help us to ensure that we can align the top really well. So now I'm just pinning the halves together. That's the first one, and that's what it's going to look like at the front. You see, that looks so beautiful, and I'm going to do the next thing, the same thing on all the other squares. Just pin it together and put it in place. Now we have 2 pleats. So I just went ahead and did that all around. So for the back bit we have 2, and then for the front we have 2, again 2. Artlist.io. So the last step is the sewing, and you're just going to sew along where you have pinned. So you're not going to sew along the whole square, but just where you have placed your pins. And try and make your lines as straight as you possibly can, because that's really important. And as you can see, that's how mine looked like, and it's very important that you remember to backstitch so that it does not unravel later on. Went ahead and did that on all the corners that I had pinned. Artlist.io. And once you're done, this is what I expect you to have. Yeah, and there's no need of you cutting the inside bits because it won't show, and this is how it will be looking like from the outside. As you can see, this is so beautiful, and I even love just looking at it. And yeah, just like that, we have our fitted waist shirt, which looks so beautiful, and everything has just fallen in place perfectly. And this is because I was very careful when doing my calculation and transferring it on my clothes as perfectly as I could, and as you can see, everything just drips in nicely, and I love it. Yeah, so that's it for this tutorial, guys. If anything was not clear, you can just ask me in the comment section. I'm going to answer you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.
Artlist.io. We could drive along an ocean reflecting the sun, or make a bed of green atop a wide open scene. Under a canvas of blue, I would draw ever nearer to
Music
you,
licensing reimagined.
to feel the dew on your skin.